Welcome to episode 321 of the Grip Strip Podcast, the close but not enough edition of the Grip Strip Podcast. My name is Phil Matthew, recovering from a typical day at work, but also a long weekend, quote, vacation, we'll say. It was basically my summer vacation with my missus to Watkins Glen for the 6 hours at the Glen, hang out with some sim racing friends of mine, watch some sports car racing, see the Valkyrie for a few minutes, and then hear that it got destroyed in a multi-car incident. Colin Brown is one of my favorite sports car drivers. Also getting wrecked in that wreck and basically not having anybody to root for in the prototype class at that point. But we'll get into all that. As always, I'm with the iRacing Indy 500 champion, computer genius, a gentleman and scholar, my good buddy, who I think you posted Lebanon James in a Jacksonville Jaguars jersey. So maybe we're getting a crossover for LeBron. Trevor Lawrence, who has more hair than you can do with, and LeBron James, who had to go to Turkey to go and get a hairline. Combine those two people together on the Jacksonville Jaguars with Travis Hunter, and you might have some people going down to Duval there to hang out with Joshua Fine. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, doing great, Phil. Yeah. Yeah, the big news of the day, of course, today in sports is that LeBron James is not returning to the Los Angeles Lakers here. And yeah, of course, everybody's now posting, "Oh, LeBron, you are a Jaguar. LeBron, you are a Green Bay Packer." I don't know, basically anybody. LeBron, you are an IndyCar driver. I'm surprised RFK hasn't made a meme yet because he actually owns the RFK by way of buying into Fenway Sports Group. So yeah, Brad Keselowski, come on, offer a seat in the 99 car. Get LeBron be the tallest NASCAR driver of all time. You can get Michael Waltrip at least, probably like the closest guy in height. He could probably beat MJ because MJ couldn't even get in the car. He tried, right? I think he did try, but he couldn't get in. So maybe LeBron can you know reference that from and actually get into things. So then he can say he's at least better than MJ at one thing. So yeah, you see what I did there.
Would
Yeah.
be the only thing he's better at than Michael Jordan at.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, that would be quite something. Yeah, get a um LeBron James. We just signed the Jaguars just re-signed Brenton Strange to a 3-year deal this past week. So get him as tight end one. We can throw in some packages for LeBron to be tight end wide receiver. Can be that kind of a move tight end there and get him in some good spots there. So yeah, that'd be really exciting. But no, anyways, so back to racing. Of course, yeah, this weekend, of course, great. I don't want to say great, but certainly an interesting weekend with SVD with the sweep. Of course, the 6 hours of Glen there, of course, where you were at and everything, F1. And of course, me and Joe Pissarro met up on Sunday while you were at the Glen. We met up down here in Orlando and we went to Orlando Kart Center and got in some pretty good laps there. So that was pretty cool. Maybe we'll talk about that later in the sim segment. But yeah, otherwise, ready to get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you talked about SVG. Chase Briscoe was close, and I didn't know how close, and now I'm finding out how close it was, and it's kind of bumming me out. But I got to watch some of the race while eating some good barbecue in Watkins Glen while we had left the track, and then listen to the end and listen to Chase's post race and how disappointed he was. And I mean, I'll say this about James Small. I laid off of him after they started winning. I don't think he's done a great job this year, and I don't think the 19 overall in general under any aspect has been good enough to be a championship contender. You have Chris Bell with a broken wrist, gutting it out, getting top 5 finishes. You have Keebler Gibbs, who they're probably putting more weight to because Chris Gabehart took all their information. But the James Small is got a setup for Snoreoma that is basically bulletproof because you've had Martin Truex every year, could qualify on pole, run top 5, no matter what the track was, whatever circuit they used there. Now you have Briscoe, who is a solid road racer himself, 2 consecutive second place finishes to arguably the best road racer in NASCAR history. So, I mean, you got to take that. In the O'Reilly race, I think everybody knew with SVG, he wanted one over on Zilich, and that was really going to be the battle there. In Formula One, Woody Russell won pole on Saturday and utilized some help from the likes of Fish Lips having problems and wrecking and qualifying, and that I do not understand that McLaren's, well, okay, it's like chrome illusion kind of thing with a green stripe, which is akin to the first. Okay, all right, fine. Now I understand the scheme. I was looking at it, I'm like, what is the point of that? And then I'm like, all right, but yeah, we'll talk about the Russell cutting into the championship lead for Antonelli. The 2 best drivers in current day Formula One in terms of statistics, battling each other further back and more. We'll get into points because they'll be at Silverstone this weekend. Of course, this weekend celebrate 250 years of this great nation, America. Month of Freedom. And hell yeah, brother. Looking at all the damn things that they say on the damn Cletus McFarland podcast. He doesn't know I exist, so.
You got to say 1776, we are the champs, like Ricky Stenhouse did that one time at Daytona.
1776, we are the champs. And then he came on Danica's face. And then when she used to take guys' loads, now she just takes chicks' loads or trans things loads, who knows, probably, depending on what her proclivities are at this particular day. Those her and Riley gains, I think they're 2 that should probably go and scissor each other. They'd probably make each other very happy. I digress. In terms of the IMSA will go, it's very diverse in IMSA. There's my transition. There's a way to segue on that. The Cadillac Whelen engineering car qualified on pole late after they canceled qualifying initially for damage in the inner loop. They never repaired the first chicane because enough people ran over it that they jacked that thing up, and it destroyed a couple cars in the Michelin Pilot Challenge. So they had to go and adjust their entry into the inner loop. But it didn't affect that 31 team. They were fast the whole weekend. So, and they went out there and won. We'll talk about that. A wreck for the Valkyrie, amongst others, and other major incidents. The roundup, we'll talk about NHRA, historic first win for another lady. The new woman in next big thing in NHRA, the way they're covering Maddie Gordon. But I think the fact that she has the backing of Ron Capps, Monster Energy is already behind her. They're really going to push her to try and promote NHRA. And her energy is infectious, so I can see why. And add the fact that she's the daughter of a racer who's won championships and won many races, so it helps. It's got the whole Force family connection. It's got all these other ladies that have been in the NHRA that have had connections with their fathers racing. So for Maddie Gordon, big deal for her. And her car owner won also in Ron Capps, who's one of the GOATs of NHRA that is still going. So talk about that. Another GOAT, Sebastian Ogier, wins the Acropolis Rally. So get into that and the possibility of him winning a 10th World Rally Championship, which would be ridiculous. And then maybe next year there will be a rally in the U.S. and that would be pretty cool. We'll talk about F2 and F3. We're at Austria last week, and then they'll be back this week at Silverstone along with the F1 Academy. So that'll be great. Indy NXT at Mid-Ohio. You'll have Formula E Shanghai towards getting to the end of their 2025-26 season. So talk about that, and you'll see. Make preview and picks for the British Grand Prix. And Silverstone, Mid-Ohio, IndyCar, NASCAR Cup, and O'Reilly Series will be back at Chicagoland Speedway for the first time in, 9 years, something like that. It feels like a long time ago. It wasn't, I think, Slide Job was, 2016 or something, or 2017, somewhere around there. Junior's first year in TV was 2017, right? So Slide Job was that year, and then I think they raced there maybe one more year. So I feel like 2018, 2019, somewhere around there was the last time they raced at Chicagoland. So it'll be interesting to see them back there at a very rough, abrasive racetrack. Hopefully there'll be a decent crowd there, and you'll get some good racing. So we'll see about that. Make preview and picks. Josh will let us know how things are going on iRacing Gaming Sim segment. Talk about him and Joe racing go-karts, and we'll call it a day. So yeah, let's start with Snoreoma. Plenty of wine there to wineries, all that. NASCAR themed cans. I might actually have to drink Red Fool. Wow, hell might be freezing over. Because there have SVG and Zillich on cans. Ty Dillon's made 300 cup starts. My God. There are some really shitty teams in this series for him to make 300 cup starts. Oh yeah, and I saw the commercial there for Ryan Blaney's new show. That's cool. But we'll get into the Toyota Save Mart 350 at Snoreoma. Keebler Gibbs qualified on pole, won both stages. So a really solid points day for him. There were 8 lead changes among 6, or it was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 drivers. Yeah. So 3 guys led a lap. You had Larson led 2 laps. Basically, the race was SVG and Ty Gibbs led the majority of it. You had a scattered group of drivers that scored stage points. There were only 3 drivers that scored stage points in both stages. It was Gibbs, Van Gisbergen, and Christopher Bell, who finished 5th after starting 14th. So huge points for all 3 of those gentlemen. You all finished in the top 5. JGR getting 3 cars in the top 5. Shane Van Gisbergen started 6th and gets his 8th career Cup Series win. He's within 1 of Jeff Gordon for most road course wins ever in the Cup Series now. Led 74 laps to go and get that win. Chase Briscoe started 7th, finished 2nd, got a couple of stage points. Gibbs, Larson, Bell, your top 5. Ryan Blaney in 6th. Connor Zilich, his first top 10 of his Cup career. So great, not what he wanted in terms of the end of the race, but for what Connor Zilich's season has been, to get a top 10 finish is just to stop the bleeding. Is awesome for him. Ryan Prix gets a top 10 in 8th. Michael McDowell finished 9th. Alex Bowman, another top 10 finish while he's battling for a contract, conveniently there. Hocevar started 2nd, but only finished 11th. All those guys scored stage points at some point during the day. Cindric, 13th. Chastain, 14th. AJ Allmendinger making his 500th Cup start, finished 16th. Zane Smith, 18th. Eric Jones had a terrible day, got 2 stage points, or 3 stage points, but finished 23rd. Riley Herbst finished 30th. Tyler Reddick finished tailback 4 laps down, and in process, even though his car owner, Denny Hamlin, finished 26th, Tyler Reddick lost the points lead for the first time this season. He's led the points since, of course, winning the Daytona 500, and now is a point behind Denny Hamlin. So we'll see how that goes. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, Josh, we just pick one of us is going to pick SVG at any road course. The only place I think he really struggles at for whatever reason is Coda. We don't even know what he really had at San Diego because they destroyed their shit 20 laps into the race with Hank Hill. He could have ran away with that race and we could be talking about him tying Jeff Gordon here. But I mean, granted, Chase Briscoe gave him a run, made him sweat. He said he didn't have the best car. He's been saying that recently. They haven't been bringing the best vehicles for him. But when push comes to shove, in terms of greats in road racing and NASCAR, got to watch, Smoke and Gordon do it, and they won 17 races between the two of them. Jeff Gordon's road racing wins were condensed in a time frame of about 1996 through 99, maybe 2000, I would say. Tony's were from 2001 through 2006-ish or 7. But this is just consistent winning multiple road races a year. And of course, there's more than there was back then. So he's able to benefit from it. But the fact of the matter is the efficiency. And that's something that SVG's always had. And it's brutal efficiency. And he needs that on ovals. So I guess, SVG's doing it where he needs to, right, Josh? And it's more a case of how does this translate with all the road courses done this year with another 2 months before plus before we get to the chase, is do they have the momentum now, SVG and the 88 team, to carry on and possibly make it in on merit? Because now they're going to have to do it on ovals the rest of the way.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I don't know. It's going to be a tough I think it's gonna be tough sledding for them, honestly, because like he's actually, I mean, probably been, I mean, obviously his wins, his performances on road courses are kind of carrying him in his position on the point standings. But at the same time, even on the ovals, he's been the best out of the three trackhouse cars. A lot of races where he was the highest finishing one, and we've seen him start to improve on ovals. Is it enough per se to see if he could, contend for a spot in the chase? I think that's left, still to be determined, I guess. But is it enough? I think to carry him into the playoffs or into the chase. I don't know because he still needed that performance at San Diego, which got taken out early in that race. So if he had finished that race, if he had won that race, finished in the top five, then maybe we'd be looking at him having enough, but I'm not sure yet. And there's still plenty of tracks where he could help him. I mean, he's done well at Atlanta in the past. Um, he's done well at Daytona this year. Like we saw him run up front at the Daytona 500, so it's not crazy to believe that he could run up front at Daytona here when they cut off. For the chase. Um, there's, plenty of mile and a halfs. I mean, Chicagoland is coming up, um, and he's done well at some of the mile and a halfs, like Kansas, Las Vegas. But of course, Chicagoland's gonna be different because it's gonna be a rougher track for everybody, and nobody's been there. So maybe it could be a wild card just because of that. So there's a lot of variables in play. I mean, Indianapolis still to go, and I mean, I guess in a way, Indianapolis also drives like a road course, and it's track position dependent. So if they have good track position, then that could go in their favor. So there's still a lot left to go, but could he outpoint over the next several weeks here? Could he outpoint guys like Eric Jones, um, Austin Cindric, Ryan Preece, Brad Keselowski? That's still to be determined, I think. So it's going to be interesting. And Eric Jones has been doing good on the ovals as of late. So, kind of showing that there is something to those Legacy Motors Club cars here. So, yeah, still a lot left to be determined here. So, yeah, I don't know, but it'll be interesting to kind of see how everything plays out for them. So, and I think, also you have to factor in like they're probably going to be like going for stage points just to get the boost of having those at the end of the day if they can't capitalize on a good finish. So there's that aspect of it too. That we've seen a lot of some of these guys that are in the chase field currently. I think they're getting carried by uh the fact that they have stage points and whatnot. So yeah, it should be interesting to see how all this plays out. But yeah, I definitely think that um it's possible, but he's gonna have to perform well on the ovals and everything. So we'll see how it goes. But then also, I think just in general, Trackhouse, they have not been that great on the ovals. I mean, Ross Chastain has been somebody who's been in the playoff contention before, but now they've been pretty bad overall this season. He's 22nd in points. Obviously, we've seen how Zilich has been struggling. So if SVG is to make the chase, I think you have to see a overall improvement in the performance of all of Trackhouse, not just SVG. So that's another factor in it as well. And then I think as far as him being the road course goat of NASCAR, I think it's a fair statement to say that currently. I mean, he's one win away from tying Jeff Gordon, and then another two wins from claiming the record for road course wins in NASCAR, and he still has a lot left in the tank. So he could easily set that record and then some here, and probably make it untouchable for other drivers in the future. So even guys like Zilich, who we know can be really good, but for SVG, I mean, there's a lot of caveats to this because it's not like he was an automatic when he showed up, right? Because he did win at Chicago, but that did play to his bread and butter, of course, with street racing, the next gen car and all of that, and we've seen that so far. But at the same time, look how he did when they went to the Indianapolis Raceway, or not Indianapolis Raceway Park, but Indianapolis Road Course, that same year when he made his debut. He, struggled and I think finished in sixth. We thought it would just be a straight up automatic that he'd win that race, but he didn't win there. He struggled a little bit at Coda last year. He struggled here. This year, I mean, he was good, but Tyler Reddick was just outright better than the rest of the field that day. Um, Earlier this year at Coda, we've seen SVG struggle at other road courses in the past. We've seen Chris Buescher beat him at Watkins Glen back in 2024. So it's possible. And certainly Chase Briscoe here had an opportunity to do that. But, if you're going to beat SVG, you've got to be able to outdrive him. And Chase Briscoe was looking like he was going to be able to do that, but then he made one mistake there that kind of set him back and gave SVG enough of a buffer to not really have to play any real defense there on the final lap to be able to win that race. So yeah, last gasp there at the end in turn 11 for Chase Briscoe, but at the same time, it was definitely going to be a huge dive bomb, and definitely lost a lot of momentum as he got off of mid corner and corner exit there to SVG. So yeah, for SVG, it's going to be a tough road ahead. Can they do it? Yes, but it's also just going to be a factor of how he performs and how his team is over the next 8 or so weeks that we have before the chase starts.
Yeah, it's something we're going to have to see for sure. I mean, you brought up the point of Chastain of how poor they have performed this year. And I mean, Surgeon off the box this year in more of a management role at Trackhouse. They moved Brandon McSwain into the crew chief role there. So there's a transitional period, I guess. Burnett comes from RCR, which they haven't had great success in recent years. You have Zilich, who's a rookie trying to get used to a different form of car again, but he's always been able to kind of do that. But the Cup car is a totally different animal. Harvick, they don't ever let him talk, but he spends a lot of time talking about how much different it is. I think Earnhardt talks about it too. It seems to be that common theme, and even I think they say it at times, even on the O'Reilly with Kligerman and with whatchamacall, why am I forgetting? And Jamie Mack, how much different the Gen 7 is to what Gen 6 or just in general to anything else that's going on in NASCAR in the main series right now. And I think we can't let go of the point that the Gen 2, Gen 3, whatever this Gen 3 platform in V8 supercars and the Gen 7 platform in Cup are much closer than people. There's a lot very, very similar cars. I wish the Cup cars looked more like the Gen 3 supercars. I think they'd race better. It would make it more interesting if they were. But and if they had more motor like those cars do. But for SVG, I think you're already talking about a guy who's an accomplished, strong road racer. And then you give him a platform that he has time in. If you give him a decent piece to work with, it's going to be very likely that he can win. And that's what has been going on. Can he do it on an oval? Can he do something that Juan Pablo Montoya wasn't able to do? What Marcus Ambrose wasn't able to do? Suarez has done it twice. But he needed rain. He needed a rain out, and he needed a last lap 3 wide pass to get his 2 oval wins, right? Earl Ross got a win at Martinsville in 1970, whatever. So it would be an amazing feat if SVG were to win an oval race. if he won it straight up, like it would make it even more insane. But is it about him winning, or is it about him doing what you said with going and getting stage points and just getting solid days? Hamlin came out on his pod and he's like, getting back to this regular season 26 weeks and make it in on points format was like the best move in a long time. Of course he's happy about it because somehow or another Tyler Reddick blew a 200 something point lead in the span of about 6 weeks, but and he's taking the points lead. But you need to be in a position to compete for this championship and be in the top 6 in points based on, I don't know how many people, Harvick, Earnhardt, others have said. So you have guys like SVG who are just trying to make it in with multiple wins. And then you have the likes of Briscoe, who ended up finishing second there, who's been talking about needing to be in the top 5, top 6 in points. And after I don't know how many terrible finishes, putting himself in a position where it might be in play. So you got both sides of the coin there. We're going to go and look at the points here. So Hamlin, of course, 1 point lead. 9 wins between, and 9 points paying wins between the two, in Hamlin and Reddick. Then 104 point gap to Ryan Blaney. He's only 26 points ahead of Gibbs, and 44 ahead of Larson, 61 ahead of his scooter riding buddy, Clyde. So that is actually getting a little tighter there. Hocevar, the only other kind of like somewhat solid Ford driver in this chase at the moment.
I mean, Chevy.
Hocevar.
You said Hocevar drives a Chevy, not a Ford.
No, I said Busher. I thought I said Busher. My bad.
Hocevar.
If I did not, then my bad. I apologize. It's Hocevar. Yeah, there you go. Busher. There you go. Christopher Busher. In the other Ford. Hocevar. Thanks for that correction. Hocevar. I had my Squire senility kick in there. Hocevar and Suarez. Hocevar is only 9 points behind Busher. Suarez now in kind of a battle, going all the way to Bubba's 40 points. So actually there's a decent fight between those 5 drivers. So that is Suarez, Bell, Briscoe, Byron, Wallace. And then SVG, 19 points beyond Bubba. And then he is 23 points ahead of Prix, 24 ahead of Cindric. And that's the cutoff right there. Cindric 12 points ahead of that Jones boy, 25 ahead of Keselowski, 26 ahead of Allmendinger, 31 ahead of Logano, 32 ahead of Michael McDowell. And I mean, Ross Chastain kind of on the outskirts of it right now is 45 out. Yeah, Ross Chastain's 45 out. And then Zane Smith is 61. Yeah, so Zane Smith's kind of on the right on that edge where that's where the line of, no return is starting to get to, albeit you still have another 8 races until the end of the regular season. But you can start really eliminating some of these guys out of possibilities and contention. Zilich at least gives himself a cushion over Cody Ware. He's only 6 points behind Ty Dillon. and 13 behind Custer, and 19 behind Barry. So it's like if he could start stringing together some runs, I think he could get up there with like Alex Bowman area, which is just outside or just inside the top 30 in points. But plenty of intrigue there, I think, from 3rd to 6th. Then from 9th to 13th. And then from 14th all the way back to, we'd say, roughly 23rd. So having the 16 drivers, I think if it was only the 12, SVG's chances would be much more difficult. But and it's not like it's easy either with some of the drivers that are outside or behind him and even in front of him that haven't had the best of performances throughout the full season. The O'Reilly series Pit Boss Food Max 250 at Snoreoma. SVG did not bother to go for stage points at all because obviously he didn't need to. That 9 car, I don't know if they run every week anyway. I feel like they do, but he led the most laps and won, started on pole. Connor Zilic had to start 30th, won stage 2, led 4 laps, finished 2nd. Brent Cruz started 2nd, one of Connor Zilic's good friends. Don't say that to Carson Hocevar, because Carson Hocevar doesn't have any friends outside of Kalidas McFarland, seemingly. Cruz started 2nd, finished 3rd, got solid stage points. He was a high point scoring regular on the day. Great weekend for the Viking Motorsports duo of Anthony Alfredo, who won stage 1, and Parker Retzloff finished 4th and 5th. They benefited from the 54 running out of gas there late. It was part of the reason why Taylor Gray he was running in the top 5, ends up 29th. Carson Quapple, driving for DGM, goes and finishes 6th. Corey Day, Sam Mayer, then Jesse Love, Sheldon Creed, your top 10. Sammy Smith finished 11th. There got stage points. Austin Green, 37th to 12th for him before he takes probably at least 1 week and maybe a couple of weeks off out of that 87 car. Rajar Caruth in the 88 car finishes 14th. Ryan C. 15th. Josh Balicki 16th. Will Rogers 17th. Alex LeBay 19th. Hank Hill 22nd. I mentioned Taylor Gray finished 29th. Ross Chastain finished 37th and fell out with rear end problems. Brad Perez starting parked. Credit to, we knew SVG, Connor Zilic, and probably Brent Cruz were the 3 of the favorites, likely favorites in this race. They finished 1, 2, 3. But I think the greater story is Viking Motorsports here, and for Anthony Alfredo and Parker Retzloff. Retzloff has done this all year. If he isn't running in the top 10, he's maximizing his finishes, and to get another top 5, I don't know how he's not on the radar of Ford. I don't know how he's not on the radar to be in the Cup, not like next year, but I'm saying like in play to possibly be someone to look at. He's doing work, and he's doing work in the Viking car is the best car he's been in his career. So I guess that's proof positive with the experience. Alfredo has had his moments, but as this year has gone on, they struggled to get going. They're not going to make this chase, but he seems like a spoiler type guy now with the momentum they're building, Josh. And I mean, for Cruz, I think it's really about Cruz making up the points again and now tightening up that cutoff battle. Taylor Gray, his teammate, going in the tank because of the fuel, no pun intended. And then you have Parker Retzloff at the same time going forward, in Viking Motorsports, a small plucky team going out there battling the likes of JRM, Gibbs, Haas, et cetera, and outperforming him.
Yeah, I mean, I think on that note, so I saw online, I don't know, on Reddit or Twitter that the Viking Motorsports, so they purchased a bunch of Colleague cars, yeah, since Colleague's no longer running in the Riley series now. They purchased a lot of their cars, including one that I think that Allmendinger had won several races with in the O'Reilly series a couple of years ago, in on the road courses. So that's why Retzloff has been running pretty well the last couple of weeks on these road courses, and just overall this season, he's ninth in points right now. Alfredo is in 16th, but certainly has momentum the last couple of weeks running up front uh, here. So yeah, just on that alone, I think you're seeing a lot of improvement. Just using, especially for a team that we hadn't really seen do that well before. Kind of mid pack uh, with Matt DiBenedetto last year. So this year now they're running top 10 with Retzloff, and Alfredo's starting to close the gap there as well. So yeah, just the difference of equipment can make a lot of differences. For the drivers there. So yeah, I think it's great to see them run up front. So hopefully it continues, and Retzloff looks like he could be a contender for possible first victory here if things go right, especially going up against some of these guys, like the JRMs and like the Joe Gibbs cars, Hendrick, I guess, with Corey Day, and all that. So yeah, that's pretty cool to see there. But overall, yeah, no surprise SVG, winning this race here this weekend. Zilich, I mean, I was a little surprised that he did qualify so far back in 30th, but obviously he was able to get up to the front there, but just didn't have the same level of pace that SVG has, and not quite the same battles that they had last year, the epic battle that they had, in the final laps. But once again, SVG, Connor Zilich um, go go at it here, and win. I guess the top two for JRM there. So um, yeah, nothing really to say about that. I mean, Brent Cruz, of course, now running full time, I guess, and running for points. Yeah, he's in 11th now, so um, should get in, I guess, but he'll have to be careful and not taking. I want to say not taking too many risks, but make sure they ensures his spot into the chase. I guess he's got uh, 21-point gap to William Swalich's teammate in 13th. Raja Karuth, seems to be kind of stuck in 14th with how many times he's switching back and forth this week in the 88. So um, he's got a little bit of ground to make up if he wants to try to make a run here at the playoff, which, some of these guys here, I mean, it's going to be tough to try to bump them out. I mean, Taylor Gray has been good. Frank Cruz, of course, obviously on the trend up and up. Sam Mayer, I mean, we've seen him be good in the past, but kind of in 10th right now in the standings. So, um, if he continues to struggle or has inconsistency, there's definitely that possibility. Parker Retzloff, we've already talked about him, how well he's been doing this season, and everything. So it's really going to be tough to see. I mean, I think the quality of the drivers here in the O'Reilly series here this season. Some of the guys that are outside. I mean, it's not a surprise, but there's enough guys that have run up front or in the top 10 enough this season. That's you look at where they are at in the standings, and it's a little surprising to see. But yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting, the points battle here in the, I guess, back half of the chase standings here in the O'Reilly series, to see how things line up as they progress towards I guess the cutoff.
Yeah, and I think some of the intrigue there, I mean, there's not really any intrigue for the leader. We know that the regular season title more or less is going to be all guy, or he'll get the bonus points and all that. But I think positioning behind him is huge as we move forward, because they have there's a 3-horse race there for second. Then you have fifth and sixth are only separated by 7 points, and seventh and eighth by 5 points. Mayer is kind of on that cusp of possibly, if the bottom falls out, it could be a big problem for him. Gibbs guys, Brent Cruz right now giving up 4 races to his teammates, and both of his teammates have won a race, and he's beating them in points is not a good look for either Taylor Gray or William Sawalich. Gray, of course, signed a 1-year extension. I don't know what that really does for him in terms of his prospects in Cup. I don't think he's the guy that they're going to pick to put in the 11 car, even if Heather Gibbs likes him. I think we know who is going to be in the 11 car in 2028, but if it ain't Dennis Hamlin. So, yeah, for Sawalich also, I mean, 21 points behind his teammate there. That's the sweat, and then you have Raja having to keep on swapping cars. He's 26 points back, so I mean, if it wasn't just the fact he has to fight the Gibbs cars, it's the fact that he has to jump between 2 different cars as a rookie, and the performance level between those 2 cars. Carson Kvapil doing things in 3 different vehicles or more. I think is like, what is it, the 1? He's been in the 9 and the 91. I don't know if he was in the 88 as well. I might be wrong, but yeah, so he's been in 3, so thank you. So it's like, for him, he's in his second year. So there's a little bit more room in that sense. I think maybe DGM, basically, they just put a number on the freaking car. And they're allowing JRM to basically run that whole outfit. I don't know how it's all working. I feel like Raja's 32 is a Jordan Anderson car through and through, compared to like when Carson Kvapil's driving the 91 car. But I think also just that experience is there. Alfredo's 113 points back. It's asking a lot to make up prior to the chase. But I think he can be a definite sleeper as the season moves forward. All right, so we'll move forward. Austrian Grand Prix, Red Fool Ring. It was in, just to give a pretext to this right here, Russell qualified on pole ahead of Leclerc, Hamilton, Antonelli. Verstappen was 5th, even with his mistake in Q3. Norris, Piastri, Hadjar, Lawson, Lindblad, your top 10. Go through that. Yeah, the Aston Martins were last, and the last row Cadillacs are in the row ahead of them. The Williams ahead of that. Then the mix of Alpine, Audi, and Haas in Q2. So then in the race results saw George Russell win by 1.6 seconds over Fishlips. Kimi Antonelli was just under 2 seconds back in third to limit his points lost to 10. Piastri fourth. Lewis Hamilton was fifth, 26.3 seconds back. Isaac Hadjar, Lando Norris, Charlie Claire, last car on the lead lap. Lawson and Lindblad, 9th and 10th. So there was movement within the top 10, but the top 10 that we started out with basically stayed there. Ford DNFs, both Cadillacs, within the first 4 laps. Carlos Sainz, Lance Stroll there. But for Russell, Joshy was able to go out there, excuse me, and give himself a chance to cut into the points lead of his teammate, and went out there and did it, qualified on pole, then went off, won the race. Going into his home Grand Prix with good momentum, trying to win his maiden British Grand Prix and cut into that lead further.
Yeah, I mean George Russell's only 45 points back from the lead there, but still that's quite a bit of a gap to make up for the guy who's won the most races here so far this season in Andrea Kimi Antonelli. So it's going to be tough for Russell, but obviously now going into the home Grand Prix for him at Silverstone, it's definitely a lot of momentum, and yeah, if things play out for him, if he starts out on pole, then that should be good enough to race for the title here soon. So, um, I mean, things can swing pretty quickly here in F1. So yeah, 40-point gap for Russell here uh, in the driver's standings to his teammate. But yeah, for Antonelli, I mean, it's still going to take a lot. But yeah, Russell's going to have to go on a tear, I think, to be able to um, continue to run and get to the title lead here. I mean, there's some pretty good tracks for him coming up, or circuits coming up for him. Silverstone, Spa's coming up, Hungary, of course, before the summer break. So there's an opportunity here for Russell to catch up before they get to the summer break, um, and everything. So we'll have to see how that plays out here. Of course, for other guys, I mean, Lewis Hamilton, of course, who won the previous race. It's definitely a opportunity for him to finish in on the podium, but ended up in fifth here. So we'll see how the Ferraris how they can recover going into Silverstone. Also, another home race for Lewis Hamilton, of course, also for McLaren and Lando Norris. So plenty of intrigue there for potential home wins for all those drivers going into Silverstone uh, and everything. But here, I mean, yeah, not really too much here. I mean, there was the bit with Lewis and Verstappen there. Verstappen passing him for second on the track. Bit of a battle there, which I guess that was the only real interesting thing that happened in the race. And of course, Verstappen, who hasn't won yet this year and could very well go winless if things um continue to be between Ferrari and Mercedes. But certainly, Verstappen, I guess, had car that was certainly capable of winning had things gone his way. So, yeah, I mean, I think George Russell. I don't know. I don't know if he'll be able to do it. I mean, I think it's just been Kimi Antonelli's just been winning so much. I don't know if it's going to be enough for Russell. But we thought last year, we thought Oscar Piastri was going to be the guy that would win the championship. But then at the end of the season, ended up Lando Norris ended up being the guy as we got closer and closer to the end of the season. So things could switch here coming up, but I think right now you just have to continue to assume that Antonelli is going to end up winning the title this year.
thing we have to say is, of course, Antonelli's, 19 years old, 20, whatever, 19 years old, and in only his second year in Formula One. Very, very young, and that pressure could affect him different than others. But of course, he's shown a level of maturity relative to his age. In some ways, I would say he's shown more maturity than his much more experienced teammate, who is a much more heralded driver coming into the season, and Russell. And then, of course, Lewis is lurking there. And with Aduo possibly allowing Ferrari to make additional adjustments to their engine power unit, can they make enough adjustments to the power unit to make them competitive to get back into the Drivers' Championship? That's something that we have to see. But we'll find out, I guess, as we go along. Only, 3 more races or 2 more races before, 3 more races before the summer break. So we'll see about that. Antonelli 40 ahead of Russell. Then another 46 out of Hamilton there. So 6 points between the former teammates in second. Piastri a point ahead of Lando and Leclerc for fourth. Fishlips in seventh, 7 points back. So that's a good battle between those 4 drivers, 2 former world champions, 2 guys who finished second in points in there. 3, all of them have finished second in points at some point in their career, I think there. So Hadjar, Gasly, mini battle, 8th and 9th. Lawson currently rounding out your top 10 there. You only have the Cadillac duo, Nico Hulkenberg and Lance Stroll, without a point so far as for drivers. Mercedes has a 98-point lead on Ferrari. Ferrari has 65 on McLaren for second. McLaren is 44 ahead of Red Bull in third. Then a huge gap, so that's pretty insurmountable, I would say, for Alpine, but they have a 13-point lead on Toro Rosso. Then Haas 10 points on Williams. Audi 1 point over Aston Martin and 2 over Cadillac. Round out your constructors. So move on from Formula One. We'll get into the sailing 6 hours at the Glen. Was there, boiled while they went and decided to call off qualifying on Saturday, which was really irritating, to say the least. But was able to go out, have a good dinner with friends, and enjoy, the racetrack and enjoy a lot of the car culture that came with it as well. So there's that aspect of it too. In the does it go? Oh, so Holly Kane is writing for them. Tony DeZino. So two great writers and motorsports writers working covering IMSA. So we'll get into the points in a moment, but the race results in so there's Bo Barfield. So 9 full course yellows during the race. You had 42, 43 of the 54 cars running, so 11 cars out of this race. Sheena Munkard, and the GT Pro Chris Mee's car, the Ford, the McLaren fell out as well. The AF Corsa GTD car fell out, along with the Inception Ferrari. The Magnus Racing team had issues. Sean Ekman talked about it in the little email blurb he posted in regards to the meetup. Unfortunately, missed out on that, but it sounded like a good turnout there. But they had a rough day with Magnus Racing. The number 11 TDS LMP2, the Manthine 911 fell out early. The 45 had issues from early in the race. The 45 Lambo for Wayne Taylor, the Intersport Racing LMP2 also, and then the of course the Ross Gun, or the 60 and the 23 getting destroyed. They're 21 laps into the race, but on the flip side of it was Jack Aiken, Earl Bamber, and Frederick Vesti in the Whelen Engineering Cadillac, going out there and dominating to get the victory in the Salem 6 Hours at the Glen, continuing their march towards a championship. Renger Van Zanda, Nick Yelly, Ota, the Acura 93, and then the Lauren Heinrich number 5 JDC Miller Porsche rounds out your podium finishers. There were all the GTP cars that were running at the end of the race, the 9 that were all on the lead lap. The LMP2 AO Racing Spike, the Dragon, finished 10th overall and only 2 laps down with Dane Cameron, PJ Hyatt, Johnny Edgar. They were a full lap ahead of the rest of the LMP2s that were running at the end of the race there. So George Kurtz, who I saw with my girlfriend walking to hospitality, the exclusive hospitality for drivers and I guess other VIPs, after his stint, finished 11th. Not every day that you just see a billionaire walk by you, but I guess I can say I saw a billionaire walk by me. The Era Motorsports 18 rounded out the podium for LMP2. In GT Pro, I mentioned offline with Josh that the Vassar Sullivan Racing team, they had made a connection also to Ryan Reinbold, so I think part of that whole celebration they had at Seneca Lodge was in honor of Dennis Reinbold, who passed away, I think, what is it, last week or a couple of weeks ago, considering how good they ran at Indy with Connor Daly and how they looked. And for Dennis Reinbold to be on the pit stand to help him there. All the drivers he has helped over the years, and then the connection he had with Jimmy Vassar and James Sullivan with this team as well. Going out there, the 14 with Jack Hawksworth, Ben Barnacote going out and getting the victory, and they celebrated in the honor of Dennis Reinbold. The Paul Miller Racing BMW, Verhagen and Connor D. Filippi second, and then Barker and Olson in the 64 Ford rounding out that podium. In GTD, the Manthey First Form 912 with Richard Leitz, Pera, and Ryan Hardwick win over the Wright Motorsports Porsche of Adam Adelson, Callum Ilott, Tom Sargent. Then the Car Blanche Aston, who I'd never heard of that team before. I just saw white Aston. The Hassi Clot Estep Fossard car rounded out their podium. So, I mean, it was GTD was set by points. The other classes were set by actual qualifying. The 57 Windward GTD car crashed, and I think that's why that field was set by point standings. But there were a lot of wrecks over the weekend. But the Whelen Engineering car was fast, and they continue to show why they're a title favorite here in this 2026 WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. In terms of the championship points before we move into the roundup, Aiken has a pretty sizable lead, over 200 points on 203 over Lauren Heinrich, and then 245 on Nick Yellowly and Renger van de Zande. Then you add another 258 on Felipe Nasr and Julian Andlauer there. So their next race for the GTP category will be Road America, I believe. Then in the wheeling of the 7, then Cadillac, 80 points and a Porsche in manufacturers. Then in LMP2 drivers, Alex Quinn, George Kurtz, Toby Sowery leading that by 48 and then 55 over 6 drivers, the 99 AO Racing team, and then the 22 car team, the United Autosports. United Autosports, Dan Goldberg, Paul DeResta, Rasmus Lind team there. So somewhat close still between CrowdStrike Racing, the 04, the AO Racing 99, the United Autosports 22. Then in GTD Pro, the Connor D. Filippi, Neil Verhagen, Paul Miller team is 60 points out of Alex Sims, Antonio Garcia, Nikki Katzberg, Tommy Milner in third, Chris Mees, Frederick Versvik are fourth, King and Tandy fifth, Barnacote and Hawksworth are 190 points out after their win there, so we'll see how that goes in GTD Pro. Then in Chevy, the weather, and Chevrolet leading in GTD Pro. Sustainability GTD drivers right now, Dudu Barrichello leading the points, son of course of Rubens Barrichello, driving the Harder Racing Aston. Second place is Teelitz and Peterson for Vassar Sullivan, Foley and Gallagher in third, the Turner Motorsport BMW drivers. So we'll see. The next race for the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship will be at Mosport and it'll be an LMP2 and GTD race. So GTD Pro and GTD will be there. All right, so move forward. Yeah, so in the roundup, Maddie Gordon goes out, gets her first win over Antron Brown, to be the latest woman to win in the NHRA. Just a huge win at Norwalk, which is one of their bigger races in general. Tony had actually qualified fourth. So Maddie Gordon ends up beating Sean Langdon, who was the number one qualifier and had beaten his teammate in the second round. Maddie beat Tony in the second round. She beat Spencer Massey in the first before then getting Antron Brown, who had beaten Leah Pruitt in round one, Tony Schumacher round two, and Clay Billiken in the semifinals. In in Top Fuel, Austin Prock was the number one qualifier, lost in the semis to Jack Beckman. Beckman, who was in the number 4 spot, beat Spencer Hyde, Daniel Wilkerson, and Prock before falling to another one of his former teammates, Ron Capps. Capps started third, beat Bobby Bodie, J.R. Todd, and Alexis DeJoria on the way to the final. I think it's 80-something wins for him, too, in the process. The stock ladder did not want to load. Neither does the Pro Stock motorcycle. I'm just going to assume that it's crapping out, so whatever. World Rally Championship, Sebastian Ogier took advantage of the issues for Thierry Neuville to go out there and get his win of the season. Possibility of getting his second win of the year. But Ogier goes out and gets another victory and puts himself his 69 win of his illustrious career, 9-time world champion, trying to go for a 10th world championship here this year. And in the process, by getting that victory, solid in the last 4 rounds, he's had 2 wins and a second there. So Efren Evans is 37 points ahead at the moment. And of course, Ogier's given up 2 rounds of the championship so far this year, has not raced in all the rounds. Efren Evans, is only 11 points out of Takamatsu Katsuda. Sammy Payari's 13 points out of Oliver Solberg, who had issues. Neuville ends up finishing, I believe, second in the rally, tied with his teammate Adrian Fourmeau. The final results in the end, Ogier by 58.3 seconds over Neuville. Katsuda finished third, 2 minutes or 3 minutes and 4 back, 3 minutes 4 back, and Sammy Payari was fourth, 5:02 back, and then Efren Evans 5:54. Josh McElrain, first of the Fords, was 0.6 of a second behind Efren Evans after whatever 17 stages. Adrian Formore, Martin Sex, then the first of the WRC2 cars with Vervaes, and then Andreas Mikkelsen, rounding out your top 10. Let me just get through F2, F3 out of curiosity. Feel like in F2, John Bennett winning the sprint race, and Nicholas Soloff gets another feature race victory, his third feature race win of the year. Standings, Gabriele Mini is only 2 points out of Soloff. That's for the championship lead. Then Rafa Camaro and Alex Dunn, third and fourth. No Leon, Boganovic, Stenshorn, who've been Herta's struggled here in recent rounds. No points in the last 3 rounds. Then in F3, go through that. So yeah, Rivera was your sprint race winner, and then Stromstead was your feature race winner. Ugochukwu, solid weekend, maintaining his points lead, 16 points out of Freddie Slater. Teofil Nile falls further back, 26 back. Del Pino in fourth. Badur and Stromstead tied for fifth. And then the F1 Academy. Palmowski is 25 points out of Feldmeyer, and then is 41, 42, 43 out of Bruce, Westcott, and Potts, and then 48 out of Gottman in the F1 Academy. I'll look back more in Formula E and Indy next week. All right. Let us move over to the British Grand Prix here. And let's see here. Josh, you picked first. So I'll pick first. F1 British Grand Prix. So Phil will go. I'm gonna say, wow, I did pick Woody to win. Fish Lips I swapped, so I had the podium. I just had it in the wrong order. Oh, okay. Had the winner in O'Reilly. You had second place in O'Reilly. You had the winner in Cup, and I completely whiffed on my Cup picks. So, there you go. Not so bad. For me, I'll go and continue the roll. I'll stick with Woody. Woody Russell wins British Grand Prix, wins with, I will say, SLH, and AK rounding out podium. Yeah, so then Antonelli losing another 10 points. What say you, Josh, as I take a brief moment?
Yeah. I would say Kimi Antonelli wins. I'll put it in chat. Kimi Antonelli wins the Grand Prix. And I'll say that Sir Lewis. Well, no, I will not say that. I will say, yeah. You know what? I'll say that. Yeah, Sir Lewis Hamilton wins. Or is in second, and then George Russell in third. So, you got an Italian guy followed by two British guys in the British Grand Prix. How about that? And everything. So should be interesting. British Grand Prix on Sunday here, as America celebrates its 250th anniversary on July 4th, the day before. So that should be funny. I'll put that in chat. I guess this upcoming weekend here for NASCAR, or well, IndyCar also. So we should do that first. IndyCar Mid Ohio coming up this weekend. I don't really think anybody else will win besides Alex Palou. Home race here for Honda. Their plant in Marysville, Ohio. So Honda has a big presence here. So yeah, obviously Honda. Of course, hybrids are why they're still here in IndyCar. So yeah, we'll go with Alex Palou here to win this weekend here at Mid Ohio. And then I guess my wild card, I will go with, and I have to confirm this on the standings here. Go to IndyCar standings here. Second. I could say I guess I go with Kiffin Simpson as my wild card here in IndyCar. So this weekend. So I guess yeah, Phil, for you for the chat. F1 Grand Prix, I'd say AKA basically the reverse order of what you have. So
And then in IndyCar, so IndyCar Honda GP of Mid Ohio, I believe. I think that's correct.
yeah.
The
Yeah, I said Alex Palou and Kiffin Simpson.
Honda Indy 200, yeah. So enter, and then Josh goes hello Palou, winning Kiffin Simpson wild card. Phil will so I think if there was like a points aspect to it, I mean, you'd still kick my ass, but I think it would be interesting if we actually like took points based on whatever. We made up point standings at some point and did it that way. Like that would make it more interesting, these picks. I mean, because, you know, the recent trend, Christian Lundgaard, I'll go with him. He's won. Now, would I rather his teammate who drives a number 5 car win? Yes. But Christian Lundgaard, McLaren, been good on the road courses, permanent road courses this year. So you have 25, so have to go 13. So after that, who amongst this group do I think could do something? Not really. I mean, Willpower's been so inconsistent. He does have 2 top 5s, though. There's only 2 other drivers who've had top 5 behind him, and Josh, you picked one of them. Man, this is really terrible. I'll take my chances. I'll take my chances with Dennis Hauger. They had the Romain Grosjean car at or a show car at Watkins Glen, and I joked around that it wasn't accurate because it wasn't in 1,000 pieces. So, and then there wasn't Romain Grosjean, but then there was a bunch of a-holes who drove Lamborghinis, I think, in the Super Trofeo, based on what one of my friends over there had to deal with during the weekend. So yeah, that's IndyCar. So yeah, what do we have? Next is NASCAR, so we'll do O'Reilly Series. So NASCAR, O'Reilly Series. Get into the what is it? Cuervo 300. Cuervo 300. Good sponsor for 4th of July.
Missed an opportunity to make it the 250, because it's on 4th
Yeah.
of July.
Yeah, that would have made more sense. But could have had a truck race, but then early on Saturday afternoon, that would have made sense. But instead we don't. So for me, it's a new. There's very few of these guys that have actually driven this track in real life. For that alone, that basis alone, I'm going to pick Clyde because he's in the 88. And then my wild card pick, I'd have to confirm based on the points. Right now, you look at Austin Green's missed racing and being in a race, but so that doesn't really count. Brendan Cruz is full time. There's 28 drivers that have run, so you could say 14. Yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna go and one of us usually picks Anthony Alfredo, so I'll just go and pick Anthony Alfredo here. So William, Clyde, Elliott, 2 to win, and fast pasta wild card. I left Allgaier out there. I left a bunch of big hitters up there. Maybe we get a first-time winner. You have the likes of Quapple, Retzloff, Cruz, who have never won. Also Raja Caruth. So possibility it's a track where first-time winners have happened. Certain 7-time Cup Series champion when his one and only O'Reilly race there, and Jim Johnson. Justin Labonte, his one and only O'Reilly Series win was there, amongst other drivers that had a first there. But what say you, Josh?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with Justin Allgaier. Of course, second career win at his career came here at Chicago back in 2011 when they randomly ran a summer race here in that time frame, and one in 2017 driving for junior. So Justin, of course, been on a roll here in the O'Reilly series this season. So no reason why it can't continue, in my opinion. So yeah, I'll go with Justin Allgaier, and then I guess my wild card this weekend. I don't know. This is tough. I'll go with just go with Ryan Sieg right there in 15th, one position above um, Anthony Alfredo in points. So we'll see how he does.
Uh, yeah, well, I mean, Ryan Sieg over the years has been pretty solid on these 1.5 mile racetracks, and I think he is one of the guys that's actually driven there. So it might be in his favor. Opportunity weekend for him. The Eero 400. Have to edit that. So 400. There's 39 drivers. So Corey Heim coming off of his first career Cup win couple of weeks back in the Cup Series, along with Josh Bilicki driving for Carl Long, and then the NY Racing team with JJ Yaley showing up there this weekend. So there's that. So my bad on forgetting Ayagura going and getting his first career MotoGP victory last week at Assen over his teammate Raul Fernandez. So Trackhouse 1-2, Aprilia getting a sweep of the podium. Jorge Martin there. So credit to those guys. Marco Bezzecchi fell out in the first lap. So huge points loss there in the standings. Bezzecchi loses the points lead. He's now 7 points behind Jorge Martin. Fabio Di Gianantonio is only 16 points back. Ayagura with his win and a second at the last race, 25 points back. Marc Marquez 40. So 3 consecutive non-points finishes for Bezzecchi, and all of a sudden top 5 in points really are back in play. Marc Marquez, who's missed multiple rounds, is now back in play as well. So 40 points separating the top 5 there in the MotoGP World Championship. Huge opportunity for those guys there. So David Alonso, Gonzalez, Agus, your top 3 in Moto2. Gonzalez maintaining a pretty 57.5 point lead in Moto2. And then Quiles in Moto3, 90 point lead. So yeah, sorry, forgot about that. That's Trackhouse team, of course. Superfile sponsoring them. SVG, of course, won in a Superfile car on Saturday. I think he won one of his races this year in a Superfile car as well. So sorry to interrupt, Josh, but I forgot about that in the roundup. That was my fault there. Who are you looking at for this weekend at Chicago? And also, actually, one other thing. There's the in-season challenge. Only a few upsets. Reddick got knocked out by Bowman. So Bowman and Cindric are in the second round. Gillen knocked out Daniel Suarez. And then otherwise, Michael McDowell got Darrell Wallace Jr. And everything else is pretty much chalk. You have Bowman and Cindric, Gilliland and Hocevar in one part of the bracket on the left side of the bracket. So whoever's of those guys will get to an opportunity. The two that advance will battle at Atlanta. Then a teammate battle between Briscoe and Gibbs. Then McDowell and Elliott. Whoever wins that, of course, they'll be in the semifinal or in the quarterfinals at Atlanta. Denny Hamlin, Eric Jones, former teammates, will race each other. Then Buescher and Bell, good matchup, 7-10. Then Byron and Larson, the second teammate battle. Hendrick Motorsports. So all four Hendrick cars are in at the moment. And all four Gibbs cars are in. One of the Gibbs cars will get knocked out. One of the Hendrick cars will get knocked out. Then Shane Van Gisbergen and Blaney. Only, 4 Fords in this. So, all right.
Yeah.
Now your turn.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna go a little, I guess, little unconventional here, but I'm gonna say Kyle Larson wins here this weekend. He's had top 5 finishes since the Coca-Cola 600. Only one he didn't finish top 5 was Nashville. So he's been running a lot better than what he's had, mid-season so far. He's overdue for a win, 40 plus winless streak here. So 40 races since he's won, since Kansas of last year. Of course, won the championship last year, but that was a top 5 finish there. So yeah, I'll go with him. I think if there's any race where him running the top could come into play, it's probably here at Chicagoland, especially with how rough the surface is. Definitely running the top's probably going to come into play. So I think him, Tyler Reddick, those dirt track guys with that type of background are probably going to be running right against the wall. And we know what he can do when he can run up against the wall like that. So yeah, Larson winner. And then for me, for my wild card, I'm gonna go with Zane Smith. Ran well. They're using the same tire that they used at Michigan, Pocono, and Nashville. And Zane Smith ran pretty well in those 3 races. Of course, crashed out in Pocono. Michigan, I think he had a problem there too. But yeah, he had a crash at Michigan also. But yeah, he ran well at Nashville. Was in the lead for a good bit until till the very end. Got saved by yellow, and Pocono, was running up front there before he crashed out. So yeah, I mean, should be a fun weekend of racing. Of course, I think be a good good to have Chicagoland back on the schedule. Yeah, definitely excited to see how the track races after 6 years of not racing there, and yeah, seeing how things play out.
Yeah, makes sense. Larson, you'd think eventually the way that they're coming around with the Chevy program, I'm not sure if they're saying that the short tracks or it's the intermediates where they feel the weakest, but I think it's a matter of time for the Chevys at the present moment. In Yeah, that's 13. But yeah, so I'm just looking at the last 10 races of this season, in terms of performance, and average finish. I'll just go with Hamlin. Why wouldn't I? It's a opportunity to take him here. So Dennis Hamlin to win, and my wild card, I'll just pick Corey Heim, because why not? He can go and take risks that none of these guys who are running for points can. He can probably do some strategy. He might be able to run fuel mileage. It's a fuel mileage racetrack over the years. Tony Stewart, famously in 2011 winning on fuel mileage, and then taking that momentum and going and winning a championship, So he's got a free roll. Denny Hamlin definitely doesn't, but he wants another win at a ISC cookie cutter, And knowing that Atlanta is coming next week, and it may not be the most ideal scenario or setup of a racetrack, he would want to gain some points on Reddick again. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, Josh, your time to shine here on. Let us know everything iRacing, gaming, and go karting
Yeah,
in the sim segment.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, for iRacing, of course. Yeah, I think for the regular series, I mean, Cup O'Reilly series at Chicagoland, so might be an interesting preview of what we'll see this weekend here on iRacing IndyCar at Mid Ohio. There, the Oval IndyCar series at Las Vegas. NASCAR 1987 cars at Daytona on the Oval. Um, Let's see where else. Sports cars. Uh, Trying to look. GR86 at Summit Point Raceway. Got GT3 um, challenge at Mount Panorama. There, iRacing IMSA series at Circuit at Spa. There, Francorchamps. Um, LMP2 challenge also at Spa. I guess 24 hours of Spa coming up, so I think that's part of it for iRacing. Yeah, the 24 hours of Spa is coming up for iRacing, so I think that's the other special event. But of course, also this weekend, I think the Firecracker 400 special event coming up for iRacing NASCAR 1987s. So that should be good. Um, I think I ran it last year and ran third in that one. Definitely was a wreck fest throughout. Um, I do remember trying to do that one, and my computer, like, I don't know what happened, but my graphics like settings got like reset to where I only had one window and I couldn't stream anything doing it that way for some reason. So and so my entire field of view was messed up in that, but somehow I was still able to kind of get through it. And I don't know, I think I got involved in a lot of stuff. So I have to go back and look at my results, but I think I ended up finishing third in that one. So we'll see how we do here. Of course, yeah, 87 cars at Daytona is always a wild card. I mean, I'm good at it, but there's always like people who just, you know, they just try too hard too early and end up wrecking. Because it's easy to get loose, especially in the center of the corner. Um, for the 87 cars, if you get too close to the back bumper, a lot of times that gets somebody loose in front of you, um, and everything. And I'm a guy that I like to lift before, going into the turns. Like, yeah, imagine lifting at Daytona and everything, but it's important to do in the 87 cars. You got to save tires and stuff. So, saving tires at Daytona, who knew you do that? But yeah, in the 87 car, you got to do it. So, um, yeah, that's definitely type of an old school type of racing here. So there's fixed stand open setup there. So yeah, that'll be this weekend. I think throughout the weekend. I have to check the schedule for it. Should be able to do it because it's throughout. So, um, yeah, that's their yeah fix. Okay, here's the times. Yeah, fixed setup Wednesday 5 p.m. ET, Thursday 10 p.m., Saturday 6 a.m. Getting up at 6 a.m. on Saturday to celebrate the 250th anniversary of America by running the um, iRacing Firecracker 400. What a way to begin the 250th anniversary. Um, and then at 1 p.m. on Saturday, and then 10 p.m. on Eastern Time, Sunday night for the fixed setup. Open setup Wednesday 10 p.m., Thursday 3 p.m., okay? Friday night at 10 p.m., and Sunday at 11 a.m. Broadcast split will be the Friday 10 p.m. event there, so that should be interesting. So that's the top split broadcast there. So if you're in top split on iRacing, then you know you'll be in that one. So that's definitely gonna be interesting there and everything. So yeah, that's a big thing on iRacing this weekend, and I think the 24 hours of Spa is also this weekend as well. So that should be fun for all the road racers and stuff. So um, should be good there. And then yeah, go-karting. So yeah, I went go-karting with our good friend Joe Passero, of course, frequent guest on the show. fill in for me whenever I'm out. Of course, thanks to him for that. When I was on vacation and all that. But yeah, we went go karting Sunday at Orlando Kart Center. Um, Definitely me and him had a good time there. I had put up some good laps. Got one on video, so might have to clip that and put that on the internet there just to study and see how how to improve and all that stuff. I had a couple of sessions where I hit 1 minute 10 seconds, which compared to what I've ran in the past, I've ran 1 minute 8 seconds. I think even 1 minute 7 second laps. So sometimes it's cart dependent, but I'm like, man, I really lost 2 seconds somehow. So gotta go back to see where I can improve there. But even though I feel like I'm improving, but maybe it's just the carts or whatever. But yeah, Joe had some good sessions as well. Um, you know, Although I think he was a little slower than I was. I think he had a best of like 1 minute 11 seconds. So still, you were talking about it, like trying to improve, trying to get better at karting and stuff. So definitely room for us to grow, but it's good to get out there, especially with a buddy and get out there on the track and everything. So yeah, that was fun and everything. Um, yeah, definitely had some stuff though, because there was one time where we were out all on track, and lots of stuff happening because there was like 20 people on the track, and we're definitely guys that know what we're doing, and then people getting into us and all that stuff. So yeah, that was interesting there. So definitely hopefully get out there and do it again. Um, I think there's, league. So Orlando Kart Center is continuing, by the way. There was that concern because they were putting up the track for sale. And looks like they've got a buyer. They're doing the final paperwork here. And they'll be continuing to operate past this month and past July. So good to see that there. Good for the community of Orlando and Central Florida for karting there. So good to see that. And that's part of the reason why we wanted to go out and do it, because we didn't know how much longer this place would be open, but it looks like they'll be continuing open for foreseeable future under new operation or new ownership. So that's good there. But um, yeah, and then we talked about some other stuff with karting. Like Joe's apparently got his own cart that he's had for a while and everything, and I guess him and his dad are trying to get it fixed up and maybe actually take it out to the track. So that'd be fun too. There, so that for him at least and everything. But I'm trying to think what else. Um, yeah, I think we'll see how that stuff goes, and definitely I gotta figure out a way. I mean, I should just buy my own go kart at this point, but there's other things that go into it, like maintenance and stuff, and then also the transport, because I gotta have enough room to put it in my car and all that stuff. So that might be a challenge there, but yeah, we'll see how that where I go with that. Yeah, for iRacing streams, which yeah, if I do run the iRacing Firecracker 400, which I think I should be able to do, then that should be on Twitch stream at twitch.tv/UCLR2. You can go on there, follow me on there, of course. Still got plenty of my other older streams up from the past month and a half of racing on iRacing, so that's all up on there. Twitter page at JP Huffine. Go and follow me there, of course. Retweeting all the stuff about LeBron James free agency on there and stuff. Did see that at least Haas Racing is playing with the joke. I mean, I'm surprised that RFK has not leaned into this, but considering who's their owner by way of Fenway Group there, but I digress. But anyway, follow me on there. You can follow and subscribe to the Grip Shirt Podcast on YouTube on there. Got everything uploaded on there. So follow us on there. Follow me, Josh Huff on Photography on Instagram. Follow my photography exploits. Gonna start posting some more photos from the Rolex 24 from 2025. I recently went and uploaded or remastered, recropped some of my photography from that race, using some settings that I'd seen on another post. So, bit of a adventure into editing on the computer and everything. So, some of them, honestly, a lot of them turned out well. So, be posting a lot of those over the next couple of days, and everything. So, um, yeah, that's it for me, of course. Glad both had seems like we both had pretty good weekends here. and everything. And of course, happy 250th to the United States of America. So, of course, that's coming up here Saturday, July 4th. So, hopefully, everybody's safe and has a good time celebrating this great country.
Yeah, be careful out there. No, don't Jason Pierre-Paul yourself. Even though he still had a football career of some sort, after trying to blow his hand off. Do anything like that, any crazy, things like that. If you want to get completely completely blasted and start going and doing calls like Peyton Manning behind a couch in your underoos, like one of my friend's brothers did many years ago at a 4th of July. That's up to you. Whatever. Celebrate, I guess, whatever makes you feel good about America and 250. So yeah, absolutely, you got to celebrate that. We're able to do the show, live our lives, do all that. So because of uh, this great nation being established and being able to have Declaration of Independence, all that in 1776, of course, Richard, famously saying that we are the champs after he won at Daytona many years ago. Who knows? Maybe he might do it again in a few weeks. And he seems to find a way of doing that at plate races. But yeah, you can find us of course, on YouTube, as Josh mentioned, Gripster Podcast, GSP 1428. You can find me on Instagram, PGMGSP28, Twitter, PGMatthew28. Find the Gripster Podcast, PhilipGMatthew.com and Podbean.com. And we'll be back for episode 322 next week to discuss the Chicagoland NASCAR, Formula or IndyCar in Mid-Ohio, Formula One, the British Grand Prix, and then we'll get into everything else going on in the world of motorsports and sports. Got some free agents, and trades and stuff in NBA, NHL. We're getting closer to football. A few weeks away from football, so gonna get that football talk in here soon enough. So that'll be nice as well. And yeah, thanks for listening. Please like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends. Anything helps. A couple dollars might help too. We'll take whatever can get here. But thanks for listening to Gripster Podcast. Thanks you, Josh, as always, for all your help and support and friendship, and to everyone that cares to listen. So we'll see you next time on the Gripster Podcast.